Test, test. Hey, Jay.
Hey, Dan, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, for some reason my camera's not working.
Oh, weird.
I'm glad I at least got out audio.
Yeah. Can you see me?
Yeah.
Okay. Wonder if it's like a driver thing.
Yeah, I don't know. It's never done this before. Maybe I might have like turned it off in control panel or something. Let me check. Let me try. Let me know if my screen share works.
Okay.
Yeesh. Oh boy.
I just
Now
found
what
this.
have I done?
Oh, it's not working?
Well,
Oh,
I'm getting
there we go.
I'm getting feedback.
Okay.
What the heck? Are you doing filters on your webcam?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Just
Good,
just
because
found
I'm.
this.
Yeah,
I didn't know about this option.
yeah. Oh yeah, I see that Google effects, right?
Mm-hmm. New features.
Oh wow.
What's this? Oh.
That's funny.
This is crazy. Oh, I guess it like blurs? No. Oh. This is good. Hmm. Hmm. How do I turn it off? I don't know. Oh. Just so good. Move all effects. There we go. Hey, how's it going, Partha?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. I got to work from home today. So that was great. The difference in these screen shares on.
Dan, see if you have a setting to control my camera. It says the moderator has some control over that.
Okay. Yeah, there's a cameraman. That's not it though. Your control room.
Yeah, it says you turned it off. Now, okay, now it's on, and I still don't see anything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I may have to just do without for this session.
Dang. We can still. I could see your screen share earlier.
Okay, let me try that again because I started getting all weird feedback when on my screen. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, that'll work.
Cool.
Yeah, I only get the weird. I only get the feedback like if I'm on the Google Hangout screen. Then I get this, infinite mirror thing.
Yeah. I think that's when you're looking at someone who's looking at your. Oh, that's strange.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like pointing two mirrors at each other.
Oh, because you're screen sharing your screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, I know. I don't think Danielle was gonna make it tonight.
Yeah, I saw that.
I expect Alexa to get here pretty soon. I think we have one new person.
Yeah, I saw where somebody else that had said they were going to join. I don't remember the name.
Oh, David just signed up.
Yeah.
And Simon. Rajiv. Okay. This was definitely yeah, this chapter was presented quite a bit more difficulty.
Yeah. I slogged through it, and unfortunately, it was like 2 weeks ago, and I didn't have a chance to go back to it. And I went back and tried. I tried to just kind of review over it today, and I'm going, oh gosh,
Yeah.
I've forgotten. Like I went through that whole table, that table creation example, and I had figured out like through each one of those steps, I had to figure out, is it, am I working with an object or with an array of objects or an array of strings, and I worked through every one of those to figure out what what the argument was that was going to a particular function. But I went back to it and I'm going, I don't remember any of this.
Yeah.
Some of it I do, I guess. I actually put all that code together from a book into one program, where it would run end to end.
Cool. Yeah, the only exercise I finished was the first one. It's been a crazy week. I mean, I feel like I had some fairly valid excuses, but still, some of this stuff. There's just I get kind of lost in some of the where you're returning a function that returns a function that returns a function, and then some of those methods not showing up on like the final return or the final argument. Yeah. Very strange. But at the same time, I think this is definitely the most useful chapter.
Yeah, I got a lot out of it. I think I remember most of it, except it's just the gory details of that example. I let that escape me by not looking at this kind of stuff. You just about have to look at it every other day, just to keep it fresh in your mind. You can't put it aside for a week and then come back and expect to retain it all.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we can. I mean, as long as it appears to just be us for now, so I'm all for just going through that section again and
sure,
because that's definitely the meat of it. It's just that draw table example. I think it kind of hints at kind of most of the concepts that we're covering. There's a little bit kind of towards the beginning about this.
Yeah, he talks about this, and then there's another piece where he talks about I understand apply and bind and call, You know, I see what they do, but I guess what I don't know is when is it appropriate to use one instead of the other? You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like they all, you know, they kind of do the same thing, but you know, what is the, you know, what's the differentiator that says that you use one or the other?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess the easy one is call and apply, because that's just the same thing, but it depends on whether you're passing in an object or an array.
Yeah.
And, but it does the same thing. Yeah, and then bind, that's that. Did we get an example of bind in this?
No,
it refers to it.
Yeah, I know he mentions it. Let's see if I can find it.
We might have talked about bind last week. But that's, yeah, I mean, bind is basically when he talks about interface of objects. So,
yeah,
like you're using a method from another function, and if that method is defined with this, then when you call it from outside of that context, the this won't refer to the object that it's inside of, because it's kind of not really inside of that object. The method, at least, like the variable is pointing to the definition of the method and not the method within that context. So that this won't be the context. It'll be the global.
Yeah, and that seems like exactly the place where it gets confusing, you know, of keeping track of what the object the this refers to.
Yeah. Hey, Alexa.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Hey, Alexa.
Nothing.
Just JavaScript, you know.
Just JavaScripting.
Just another thing about bind was actually, or he talked about it in chapter 5.
Yeah.
In case you're looking for it.
Yeah. So, yeah, why would I want to use that instead of apply or call?
Well, a bind is kind of like a call, but it provides the this, right? Or it actually, when you evoke it, it binds what the this variable is.
Okay. Yeah, I mean the word kind of says it. It binds to that to the object that you pass, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which can be another object.
Yeah.
Well, don't all of these methods also, the first argument is what this is going to refer to? Like call and apply both have, if you give it a first argument, that's what this is. So you can give the argument of this, and it would be the object that it's being applied to, which is the function. Or you could give it some other argument. I haven't seen it done with some other argument, but you could.
Yeah, I think you're right that you can. I believe you could give them all a first argument of the object you want it to apply to be, you know, operating on. But if you look at like let's see, speak apply. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Yeah, I think that's right. I need to look at the MDN.
Yeah, well, let's see.
And feed. Yeah.
Where'd you find that, Jay?
Oh, I hadn't found it yet. I was just looking in chapter 6 where he just kind of barely, you know, he mentions it and gives an example. He gives an example of apply, but then he just.
Cool. All right, so I actually found where he talks about it.
Yeah.
So. apply and bind both take a first argument that can be used to simulate method calls. And the first argument is used to give value to this.
Simulate method calls.
Also, I'm not sure what that simulate method calls thing is talking about, but...
Oh, cool. I got that link. That's cool.
So call works the same way, but it takes arguments normally. So I think I would use call more often because you don't quite know what arguments you're getting, unless you do know what arguments you're getting, and then you can use apply, or you can just use call anyway. I don't know. Apply only takes arrays as that argument-y list.
Yeah.
There has to be a reason for the differences.
Yeah. I found one Stack Overflow thing that talks about the difference between apply and call, but it's just exactly what we talked about. If one takes an array and one takes the parameters explicitly.
Yeah. Hey Dan, real quick, with the meetup links, that first link was actually the right one, and that second one's the wrong one.
Oh, gosh. Okay. In the comment that I made.
Yeah. The second one takes you to a live view, but you're not actually in the call; you're just watching. The first one takes you to the call. That's how I kind of.
Oh yeah. Oh, here I think
Unless
I can.
That's what you meant to do.
Yeah. Well. Like I messed up the first link in the description of the event where it says event page. It links to the chapter 5 event instead of this one. But I'll edit that right now.
Cool.
Hopefully someone maybe it'll help somebody. Weird, it was the same. Okay, I just deleted that.
Thank you. Great. So have you guys talked about prototypes yet?
No.
Not yet.
Nope.
We were waiting for you.
Oh, I was hoping so.
Yeah, let's talk about them.
Great. I don't get why prototypes are. I don't know why they're different than constructors, really. Like why? I get what's happening here. So the prototype was of course the pre-object that you're inheriting from. Prototype.
Yeah. It's a form of inheritance. And to me, I mean, that was kind of my question. To me, it looks like it's the only form of inheritance. Is that there's no such thing as multiple inheritance. It's just a direct chain.
Yeah, even the classes like the ES6 classes, they just transform into a prototype. It doesn't have like real classes like in Java. But by real, I mean like classes are a part of the language, but they're just like a syntactical shortcut for doing prototype. And I think yeah. Well, maybe the cool thing about it is it's a chain. So a prototype, it's not real. It's not necessarily like a hierarchy. It's more like these objects that are chained together and can kind of delegate. Like delegation is a word I've used or I've heard to describe this. But yeah, if like the object that you're trying to call on doesn't have that method, it'll look at its prototype to see if it has that method, and then if that one doesn't, then it'll look at that, the prototype of that, up until, global.
Either it exists or it doesn't.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know of any other. Unless it's a promise, then it doesn't exist yet. Oh. Cool, Partha just linked.
And that one I found pretty interesting when we were reading bind and apply call.
Oh, nice.
Nice, he's using jQuery too. Forty
40
minute
minutes.
read.
How did you read this, Partha?
Well, it looks like it looks like exactly the right answer to the question, though. How are they different?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very
thanks,
thorough
Parker.
for sure.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's thorough, not just crammed full of articles.
He says you can use bind for currying.
Mm-hmm.
Which we kind of, which I think he does in that example that you linked, Alexa, the last thing that he console logs. Because he uses null as the this argument and then only sends in the set.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
So it's like,
This looks like a pretty good site. I hadn't looked at this one before. JavaScript is sexy.
yeah.
They mean it too, so.
Yeah. This was supposed to be one of the really good ones. He was there was a point where he was offering like a $500 course, but I knew some people that took it and did really well with it. I forget who actually built this.
Learn modern developer. I'm looking at his. This isn't. I can't think of the word. He hasn't been over here in 2 years though. Do you know if he had started up a new blog or anything like that?
He must have.
This is crazy. I just opened up the Learn Modern Developer site and my computer crashed basically. I'm not sure if you can even anymore. No, it works. Cool, nice site, Parth. Thank you for dropping this knowledge bomb.
That's awesome. So, I think, but before you got here, Alexa, I think we kind of agreed that we're going to look over the table example. Since that's.
Let's get to it.
Right. I mean, we can definitely talk more about prototype if there's any like things that help you think about it that you come to.
Well, let's see. Let's see what else we got and just blow through it. Overriding derived properties. That made sense to me.
It's cool how you can use object.create with a null as the first argument, so it doesn't have a prototype.
Yeah. Like this, he talks about prototype interference, where you might get like if you do a for in on an object with a prototype, you could get weird, weird properties showing up in your list that are not you didn't expect. Properties that belong to the parent object.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Everybody. There was one sentence I was looking for right before we started where he talks about prototype is different. Basically, two senses of prototype. like a prototype, an object has a prototype.
Oh,
But the
okay. Yeah, I know how to say that. Okay, a constructor function has a prototype of function, right?
Right.
But its prototype property tells you the prototype of the object that it's going to create.
Right. So.
Yeah, that it makes sense the first time I think about it, and after that it doesn't.
Can you actually override that by having just a method called new inside of a function? Will that override the
Well, new is a keyword, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm thinking of a different exercise I did where we made our own constructor. I think that's what I'm thinking of. Ignore that. Right. So that last piece of what you said, Jay, it points to the prototype that it's going to use when it makes a new prototype.
Like if you query the prototype of a constructor function, it has a prototype property, and if you looked at the value for that, it's going to tell you the prototype of the object that constructor creates. But the actual prototype of the function is, a function prototype.
Right. The global object, the global function object.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So if I have, let's just like do a little example, I guess. So say we have a function cat. Oops. It has, has like a this dot says, or well, we can pass this in. Right.
You could even make it's an animal constructor.
Yeah.
Or with this that says sound, and then cat is a new animal with meow.
You know what? We can do this in Atom. New animal? And we could have like a species that it could set to. Species in sound.
I think you would. I don't know what you would go to. This species equals sound. I think you would just name the new class or the new object the species. So you'd say cat equals new animal.
Right. So let's say.
Oh, okay.
Does this make sense what I'm doing?
Mm-hmm. Yep. You have an extra plus sign. Thought we're getting rid of it.
Oh, right. Do 6. We have like a cat equals new animal. That is a cat. It says, right? And then we should be able to say cat.say. That should return. Well, we'll see what it returns.
I think cat.say would return the function. And then you have to actually invoke the function.
That's right. Cat is in
Oh.
Cool. So
what is cat dot get prototype? So I think cat dot prototype should be function.
Right? Oh, it's undefined.
I don't know what the right.
But I think that's not how we look that up. Okay, cat.constructor is animal.
There we go. Yeah.
And we can ask if it is prototype of, and this should return Boolean true. Oh!
I think animal is prototype of cat.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Huh?
Cat is an animal.
I guess it's. We must have prototypes and constructors. Something's not happening in that vocabulary correctly.
This points to prototype object on the on its constructor.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're using this proto property, which is actually from the prototype JS, I believe. And then its constructor is that function expression from earlier. No arguments linked to name animal. I wonder why it points to object here. Must be how I declared it.
And you created cat as like cat new animal.
Yeah, new animal.
Okay. Huh.
I didn't made a function cat, but I didn't use that. New animal. So I guess animal is.
Yeah, I would have thought.
Oh, it's because it is an object. Because yeah. What?
How about type of cat?
No, that's right. That's right. That's what you just showed. That's exactly what he was saying in the text. Is that the prototype of animal, the function, is function.
Right. The type of cat is object.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a little confusing.
Yeah, but I mean, think about it though. Animal is a function.
Yeah, I can't say new cat.
It constructs it constructs an object, but it's not an object itself.
Yeah, cat is not a constructor.
Yeah.
I guess the first sentence under his constructors heading is a more convenient way to create objects. Blah 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 blah. But so it definitely creates an object. Can we create constructors with or does it only an object created with new said to be an instant?
Yeah, I think that the new calling it with new turns it into a constructor.
Or I think just an object.
Messed up my screen sharing.
Okay, this makes more sense now. I'm glad we fumbled around with that.
So how can I? So if I say animal dot is what will return true here? Function?
Say that again, Dan.
Return true in this. Is animal is prototype of.
Is animal a prototype of anything, or is it a constructor only.
But I could do is prototype of cat. But yeah, you're right though. I think I mean it is a constructor function. Let's see. We do talk about that.
I mean, in the book he says a function should have a prototype property. I mean, it says that, but I thought when you tried animal.prototype, it was undefined.
Oh, I think I had to do this.
He says constructors, in fact, all functions automatically get a property named prototype, which by default holds a plain empty object that derives from object.prototype.
Right. So the prototype of cat is object with its constructor set to that animal function.
Okay, well that's consistent with what he's saying in the text. He says,
right.
Yeah, by default holds a plain empty object that derives from object.prototype, and every instance created with this constructor will have this object as its prototype. So that would mean cat, the prototype of cat would be object.prototype.
Mm-hmm. So we can do cat dot is prototype of object.prototype.
That'd be the other way around, right?
Object is prototype of cat. Oh, object.prototype that is prototype?
I think, yeah, I believe that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and that actually makes more sense as you read it. Object.prototype is prototype of cat.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Interesting. Neat.
Cool.
Cool. So, and then I guess do we talk about polymorphism next? Do we want to talk about polymorphism at all? At all?
Maybe just blow through it.
Yeah, I think there wasn't quite enough backstory to that one. And I know that's one of the big object-oriented pillars. Or something.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to remember how this works. I mean, this mainly has to do with being able to override a method. You know, you could he talks about you doing it with toString. I mean, you could define your object and make toString return whatever textual stuff, gave a representation of your object.
Right.
And as long whatever code calls that, it's not going to care how you implement it as long as it returns some text.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
I think it's cool. I didn't know this, that the string property returns the basically the toString method. So you could just override that toString method if you wanted to on your own little object. Or an array. Does he do that with an array somewhere? I don't know. I feel like he does. So if you don't want your array to come, your array toString to come out to be, the comma separated values or whatever, you could just change the toString method on a new array class. I would probably make a new constructor for it, but
I get the polymorphism mixed up with overloading, and I don't know if you even have overloading in JavaScript, but like with overloading, you can have functions where it will automatically call the right thing depending on which arguments you give it. You know, you could have a function defined where if you give it 2 integers, it does the right thing with integers, or if you gave it 2 arrays, then the overloading would automatically pick the right version of that function based on the arguments you give it. But I think that's a different concept than polymorphism.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
does
the way
JavaScript have?
I think JavaScript does the polymorphism. I know you can do it. I know you can do it in C. But like the way he presents it in the book, the polymorphism, it's basically just overriding the function you have from your prototype.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like if we call string, let's see. Yeah. So we just get object. So we would think that on cat I would perhaps make my own, or I could do. Could I add it onto animal? Reset that?
Yeah.
To get a new function.
Perfect. Hi, I'm a. yeah, that's it.
And if we do cat toString, oh. No, didn't overwrite it.
Wouldn't you have to do animal.prototype?
Species is not defined. Ah, so it did call that to string from the constructor.
Yeah, wouldn't it be animal.prototype to string?
Oh, okay, right. I didn't know you could do this though. Just calling constructor methods. So then we do cat to string. This is not defined. So
This dot species. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. So now this object, whose prototype is object, has a new toString method. And then I have this new cat. We do new cat toString. Yep. Cool. So it got the same toString method. Mm-hmm. So this new cat I made earlier, just using object create cat. Here. And so new cat just has all the same properties as cat. So new cat toString returns that same overridden method.
toString method, yeah.
Yeah. Don't completely get how that's polymorphic, but I don't think I totally get polymorphism still. And if I don't get that tonight, that's fine. All right, so.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and look up the formal definition on polymorphism. and then immediately forget it again, like I always do. So.
I wonder what it is. I mean, outside of JavaScript, what the kind of more OOP.
Yeah, just the general definition. Yeah, there you go.
What is polymorphism? What is it for? You guys seem to have a very limited view of programming. I know guys who are doing embedded development and they have no knowledge or need for it. Okay, thanks for not answering. Okay. Very typical Stack Overflow answer. If you look at the Greek roots of the term, it should become obvious. Poly equals many, polygon equals many-sided, polystyrene equals many styrenes, polyglot, many languages, and so on. Morph, change or form. Morphology equals the study of biological form. Morpheus, the Greek god of dreams, was able to take any form. So polymorphism is the ability in programming to present the same interface for differing underlying forms. Datafight. There's that. I mean, we're using that same word, interface. So is interface? I mean, we haven't gotten there yet, I think, but interface is like the name that you call.
I think for our purposes, interface is the methods. The methods you present to the outside world.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Via constructors or object create, I guess.
Yeah. Which kind of in JavaScript, it doesn't look to me like you really have any. You don't really have any control over what you can't really hide things inside your object. It's just kind of just kind of an agreed upon.
Yeah, you don't have public private.
Yeah. But anyway, the methods that you intend to present to the outside world would be the interface.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this is pretty good. Where he goes on in here and talks about the shape class and all the classes that can inherit from it: square, circle, dodecahedron, so on and so on. Each one of these classes will have different underlying data, and each class is responsible for its own code and its own data. And every class would have its own draw function, and the code for each object would know how to implement its own draw function, basically.
Yeah, in contrast to the old way of doing things in which the code was separate from data, you would have to have functions like draw square, draw circle. Object orientation, polymorphism, and inheritance are all closely related concepts, and they're vital to know. There have been many silver bullets during my long career. Blah, blah. Learn it, understand it, love it. You'll be glad you did.
Okay, so really, if you look in that table example, there's some examples of polymorphism as it was defined in what we just read. But just like there's a draw, the different cells, right? There's a text cell, there's a stretch cell, underline cell, and they all implement their own draw functions.
Right. So we got this text cell draw. For my own sake, can we kind of read through, just starting, like in the next 20 minutes or so, just kind of read through these functions, just kind of talk through them?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Let's do that.
Yeah. Because there were a few concepts in here, like passing in this underline, and there's a few. There's a few things like this cell here. Are we using that? Is this referring to the function from the last chapter?
You mean the reduce?
Well, the reduce is, yeah, but I guess I'm not sure what the it's an array of arrays.
Okay, yeah, I mean that's the part where I actually had to walk through each one of these and figure out what was being passed in. Like what is a row?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it just like a
Yeah.
just a string like a ABC?
A row is an array of
a row is
all the data in a row. So you'd have
yeah. A row is an array of cells, I believe.
absolutely. So in this case, it'd be an array that says Kilimanjaro, 5895, Tanzania. So that's what you're looking at with one single row.
Let's see if I can get to that point, because it was the last time when I tried running this, it was saying min height wasn't defined. But I think it was the data that I was giving it. Another really good one. Oops. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
After row
I'm not sure if rows is an array of arrays.
No, the row heights. You have the right parentheses. After row heights, when you're calling, you need to call it as a function, right? Don't see it.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. It's spelled out min height. It's not a function.
Yeah, he just kind of made it up and didn't explain it.
Whoops. Oh, okay.
If you scroll up a little bit, I don't think the code's anywhere but the sandbox. No, it's not even in the sandbox.
We'll write a program that, given an array of arrays of table cells, builds up a string that contains a nicely laid out table, meaning that the columns are straight and the rows are aligned. Something like this. In my country. And that row. So it basically finds whatever the longest, or eventually it's going to do this. I think it's going to find whatever the longest first index is, and then make dashes that are that same length, and then make space here.
Yeah.
To fill that out, and eventually do a right aligned, but just kind of like procedurally find all those things. Okay. The way our table building system will work is that the builder function will ask each cell how wide and high it wants to be, and then use this information to determine the width of the columns and the height of the rows. The builder function will then ask the cells to draw themselves at the correct size and assemble the results into a single string. Okay, so this is going to be one string with new lines. Okay. We can add new cells later, for example, underline cells for table headers, and if they support our interface, they will just work without requiring changes to the layout program. This is the interface. Min height returns a number indicating the minimum height the cell requires in lines. Min width returns a number indicating the cell's minimum width in characters. Draw, which takes width and height, returns an array of length height, which contains a series of strings that are each width characters wide. This represents the content of the cell. I'm going to make heavy use of higher order array functions. The first part of the program computes arrays of minimum columns width and row heights for a grid of cells. The rows variable will hold an array of arrays, with each inner array representing a row of cells. Okay. Right. So to find the row height, so this is just calculating how many rows, right?
Yeah, okay. To calculate the row height, you have to find the height of the tallest cell.
Hmm.
Right, because you could have, I mean, you could conceivably have, a cell of height 3 and a cell of height 2 in the same row.
Okay, so a cell is this
well,
is a cell, right?
Yeah.
So this could be 2 words, or it could be a really long word.
Yeah, but name and then the underscores, that's a cell too, right? A cell can
Right.
a cell can be multiple rows high.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of checking for that.
Yeah.
And whatever
Okay.
it is.
So at this reduce function, so in row heights, the map makes sense kind of because it's taking in a single or each of the rows individually. But in the reduce function, what are max and cell? Because I thought the callback took 4 arguments, and I'm wondering which of the 4 arguments.
Okay. The max is sort of like the accumulator for the reduce, right? That's going to be the, and then the cell, we're feeding in like an array of arrays, right?
Yeah.
So each cell that comes in is actually going to be an array.
I think cell is going to be an argument, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or sorry, an element. Because the reduce is being run on a full row, so each cell is just an element of that array.
Right. Yeah, that's what this is.
Right. Yeah.
So it seems like this could be.
I gotcha. And then it's returning one or the other.
Yeah. So we would have we could think of it as having some kind of max length per cell, and then that would be 28 characters or something. And then if it went past 28 characters, then it would be over max length, and you would insert a new line until you got up to 48 characters, and then another new line, or something like that. I don't know what the implementation of this min height is, but something along those lines. Because this is basically just using something like that to find the height.
Yeah. Height's going to be in like how many rows are in each cell.
Yeah, and we know it's going to be a number here because our initial is 0.
Yeah, and then column widths is going to be basically what is the longest string. What is the longest string in your cells? Right, because it has to be sized to fit the longest, whatever the longest string in there is.
Yeah.
But it's not finding, right? It's returning you the length of each.
Good point.
It returns rows of 0.map. Map will return however many rows are there. For those many rows, it will find what is the max. No, I'm talking about the call widths, right? In call widths, you wrote find the longest string of any array member, but it's not going to find just one. It's going to return. Map will always return the same
array.
Elements.
Right. It's
going to give us an array that contains the length of.
Right, and it's going to be an array and not just one.
Array that contains each cell length in a given row.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, so right now it's just looking at the header.
Okay. Staying the same. Okay.
So why is it only looking at the header in this case? Because
you only have to go through this once, right? Because I mean that width's going to apply all the way down the page, right?
Mm-hmm.
So really you need to find the longest string for the whole table, to size the each column properly.
Right.
it just seems with the rows index 0 just looks at the header, right?
Yeah.
What if the longest?
No. He's just using that to build up the array, right? I mean, there's two loops there, right? Mm-hmm. He's holding, yeah.
Yep.
Because I mean, the first one he's doing like rows 0 map, right? And then he's snipping through
all of them.
Yeah. Well, row 0 is still an array, right? It's an array of arrays.
I think row 0 is an array of elements of the table cell headers. Is that not right? Row 0 should just contain an array.
An array. Yeah, I think, or is that all? What's the difference between?
Well, what does he apply it to, I guess?
Can we download this data? Isn't that?
Yeah, you have to go to the I don't know, the page to do that.
Yeah, what I did before, I downloaded it and put all the code together in one file, and then I would just put console log statements in there so I could see, what each one of these elements were. If it was an array or an object or just a single number or whatever, because it was getting really confusing otherwise.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've described what this thing does.
Yeah.
If you scroll down, there is a description as well. Let's see what his description, whether we are able to understand based on his description.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Row heights uses reduce to compute the maximum height of an array of cells, and wraps that in map in order to do it for all the rows in the rows array.
Right. Things are slightly harder for the column widths function because the outer array is an array of rows, not of columns. Oh. I failed to mention so far that map, as well as for each filter and similar array methods, passes a second argument to the function it is given, the index of the current element. By mapping over the element of the first row and only using the mapping function's second argument, column widths builds up an array with one element for every column index. The call to reduce runs over the outer rows array for each index and picks out the width of the widest cell at that index.
Yeah.
The outer rows. Okay. So it's like that's what this is.
Yeah, I didn't notice that. Yeah.
So we're mapping over that outer row so we can get at each array.
Yeah, I didn't catch that. The reduce was run on the rows.
Or rather, we don't want to run the map on each array item, but rather we want to map over the entire array, the outer array.
Yeah.
Which is what?
For as many columns as are there.
Right. And then which we're getting to with this I, since we're passing, like we only want to we only want to get to each inner array, and we want to run this max function on that to find what this min width, which is the the same as like finding the max length, kind of. Or it's saying what is the minimum width that this cell can be. Yeah. Okay. So I get it now as far as why like we need to use this to use the outer array function to have access to this, and then we're reducing over that same array, but we're calculating each inner array member here and reducing that. So that we get back a single array that has 3 or however many internal members that has a min width for each of those, because it's really just three items. So there should be 10 or whatever, and then however long these are. Okay. Cool, I get that now. And then, this other note. Using a variable name starting with an underscore or consisting entirely of a single underscore is a way to indicate to human readers that this argument is not going to be used. Okay. Here's the code to draw a table. So, got this draw table function that takes the rows, and then it's important here, I think, that it's setting, it's keeping an internal reference to heights by running that row heights function on rows, so we know what all the heights are, and then widths by running that call widths and getting the widths, and then this is this a method here?
No, I don't think it is. Oh, is it? It is a method. Function draw. It's a function within a function anyway.
Yeah, that was confusing me, but I don't think we can call. We can't call it though, right? Like we can't call draw table dot draw line.
No, but it uses it later in the online 16. So I guess it just puts in the namespace, and I'm not quite sure why he did it in there, but he did. So.
Yeah, because there's nothing that this is taking that it would. I mean, it's not doing anything with these inner definitions.
Mm-mm.
So it seems like it would work fine if it was outside. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But that's also, I mean, that's how, like, with classes, with, like, ES6 classes, that's how you do methods. It would just be like that, and then that would be a method.
Wait a minute. So he uses heights and widths in the draw row function.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't actually look at that yet. Draw row takes a row and a row number. Blocks. So. And a column number, that's. Oh, okay, that's like 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah, it's the index. I'm pretty sure. Yep.
Oh, right. Yeah. That's the second arg. And then draw, we haven't seen that cell.draw yet.
That's right.
Widths. I'm taking widths. We're just going to be a number.
Yep.
And then setting a column number.
Yeah.
And then heights, row number.
So like each cell is going to have its own draw method.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, okay, so with width's call number, we're setting something? I thought width was just
Widths,
an integer.
the call widths and row heights, they always return. The outer function is the map, right? So it returned an array. So heights and widths variable are just arrays. So
They are arrays.
yeah,
Okay.
arrays. If you go back and look at that function, row heights and call widths, what we are returning is we used the map function. Map function always returns an array.
Mm-hmm.
So what does he describe cell.draw in some?
Yeah, it's farther down. Because like when you define a cell, like you can have an underlined cell or a text cell or a stretch cell or whatever. They all have their own draw method.
Okay. So the draw table function uses the internal helper function draw row to draw all rows, and then joins them together with new line characters. Right, because we just have this we're passing this draw row. So is this actually doing is this like a compose? Kind of.
What do you mean by compose?
Well, it's like we're not mapping over each item in the array. We're mapping over the row and the row number. It's the same as just. I mean, it's just a quick reference to that.
Yeah, I mean, the end result is going to be a bunch of text lines all, separated by new lines.
Right. And then we're joining on the new line.
And if you go back up and look at that draw. Okay, well, draw row does the same thing. It gives you a bunch of lines of text and then it joins them with a new line.
Mm-hmm.
And then scroll back up, and then when it does the draw lines function, those are the what'd you say, the individual cell elements for a given line separated by space.
Mm-hmm.
IE. Right, and then it's taking that. Where is that?
Those padding that
those are the blocks.
will come from the cell.draw.
Right.
So the cell.draw will put the text and then pad it with however many spaces the maximum cell width is. So that will take care of it. What we have above the draw, in the draw line, we are just adding one more space between the cells. That's it.
Cool. Okay, so draw row function itself first converts the cell objects in the row to blocks, which are arrays of strings representing the content of the cells split by a line. A single cell containing simply the number 3776 might be represented by a single element array like 3776, whereas an underlined cell might take up two lines, be represented by the array name. That. I don't think we've gotten to the underline bit.
Not yet, no.
No, it's further down.
The blocks for a row, which all have the same height, should appear next to each other in the final output. The second call to the map and draw row builds up this output line by mapping over the lines in the leftmost block. And for each of those, collecting a line that spans the full width of the table, these lines are then joined with new line characters to provide the whole row as draw row's return value. Mm-hmm. function drawLine extracts lines that should appear next to each other from an array of blocks and joins them with the space character to create a one-character gap between the table's columns. Now let's write a constructor for cells that contains text, which implements the interface for table cells. The constructor splits a string into an array of lines using the string method split, which cuts up a string at every occurrence of its argument and returns an array of the pieces. The min-width method finds the maximum line width in this array.
Cool.
Right.
So repeats are used later in the draw function.
Yeah.
Text cell takes a text, and that's used later in the text cell is okay. My bad. It is an object.
Yeah. Is it? Oh, okay. Yeah.
Min width. Reduce.
Is it splitting on? So is this taking a string and then split every time it sees the new line character?
Yes, making an array.
Yeah.
So if you want to display in a cell multiple lines, then you will have /n in your text.
Right.
So if you have multiple lines, then they cannot just take the whole string length. They have to look at, okay, what is the maximum length will be in the column, in the row. So if there are multiple rows, I don't have to worry about the whole string length, just the maximum characters in line, whichever is the line. So that's the min width is doing. It's going through all the lines and finding the maximum line width. So minimum width is the maximum length of the line in the cell.
Gotcha.
So this is where we're actually doing that. I thought that's what the min or yeah, I thought that's what row heights was doing.
This looks at okay. It needs, if you look at the, okay, so what this is doing, it's building for the table, what should be the each column width? How do you going to determine what is going to be your column width? You are asking, if you look at the reduce function, inside the reduce function, you are saying for that row, when you say row of I, line number 16, if you look at line number 16, you are saying row of I. Row of I is cell. You are referring to a cell, and from that cell, you are asking what is your minimum width.
Yeah.
So that's what we are collecting here.
Okay. So is there? Oh, I mean, we probably just haven't seen it yet. I'm just wondering why we're decorating that prototype like this.
We'll be using these functions later.
Yeah, I think there's some other stuff.
Different types of cells. So you're going to start with the text cell, then it's going to morph into other things. So.
Okay. So we can just do the prototype, and then we can reference those from the other. Yeah, rather than, or they're all going to have a draw, so they're all going to. That's where this draw is going to come in.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so this is literally just building up string times.
What did you say just now? String times?
Yeah. Well, I'm just looking at this repeat.
I think this one just
yeah.
actually builds the row out.
Yeah, that's just to get the pad that line out with spaces,
Right.
to make it be the full width of the cell.
And repeat was defined earlier in this sandbox. As in it takes what to repeat and how many times to repeat it. So line is the text, and then you're going to pad it out with space.
Yeah, that makes sense. Until it gets up to the width.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still a bit lost on why do we define a mid-width for both the text cell and the columns? Wouldn't they both have, wouldn't you take the maximum for either of those lengths and then just go with that?
Yeah, but just think of like on the printed page, you're going to have these cells stacked on top of each other. So you have to look at the width of all of them, right? And size it.
Isn't that what the very first one did? Is it went through all the cells?
Yeah.
That is going to call the min height here. Is the min height.
This min width here is just for an individual cell. And then when it's looking at row and column widths, it's looking at basically all the cells.
See, we have seen this function upside down, right? Starting from the text cell, build the cell, and then build the rows, then we would understand it. He started from the other way. He said, I'm going to build up my total table height and rows and columns, and then drill down where each, and then go to the cell level, and in the cell level, I'm going to again define this function, then it's confusing. If you go back up and look at the min height function, again, it's going through the array, going through each and every cell, and each cell he's asking what is your height. Cell.min height. So the cell has to say, when it comes to a row, so the row height and row cell are looking at each cell in a given row and a given column, say what is your height and what is your width. And then he's storing the maximum of the height and width for a given row intersection of column and row and column. So if I have, how to say it, English is not my first language. So each cell is self-aware, and the cell says, okay, for me to write my content, I need this much width and this much height.
Mm-hmm.
So before drawing the table, he needs to know, okay, how big is my table? How many rows do I need to construct to draw this content? So he has to go through each and every cell. He asks, okay, how many rows do you need? How many character width you need? And collect that information. And then he needs to compare. When he's doing it for rows, he needs to make sure that all the cells in that row has the same height. Mm-hmm. Think of the Excel, right? There is no merging concept right now. If you increase the height of a cell, then all the cells in that row has to have the same height.
Yeah, okay.
And similarly, the width, one column may have a cell may have content that is smaller, but the other cell may have a bigger. So he still need to go through every cell in a particular column and find out what is the maximum cell width has to be and collect that information. So that he knows if somebody says draw, I need to know, okay, first row, first cell, how many line height it has to be, make sure that the same line height is available for all the cells in the first row. And for column also, if I draw the first column with 10 characters, I need to make sure that when I go to the second row, first cell, I need to still make sure that it has still 10 characters. It may contain only 5 character length value, but I still need to make sure that the cell I draw is 10 character width.
Right. And then, yeah, so if there's any left over after that, then we just use the empty space.
So each cell has to be self-aware It needs to say how many lines, how many width I need, so that he can understand, collect that information up ahead, so that he knows how big your table is going to be, how to draw his table.
Cool.
That's very cool. I wish it might be helpful to annotate these functions, or actually document them, I guess, at some point.
Yeah. I think what he's trying to do is, okay, I will explain something somewhere and put my code somewhere and let you work to understand what it means, so that way you understand what I'm trying to do and learn. This is the first language I have so much trouble understanding the concept. If I'm doing Java, C++, or C, I was able to pick up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
This is the one language I have to go back. I tried Python. I have been going through all the languages possible. I tried Python. Not that complex for me, so I was able to pick up all these things. Did the C++, did Java, did C, even tried VB, some amount of C#. All those things, they have their own specific scripts, but they all follow certain concepts, certain way.
Yeah.
JavaScript doesn't care. It wants his own way of doing it. So he wants to make sure that it's not like any other language. You still need to forget about all the other languages, try to make a comparison between, oh, this is how we used to do there. No, there is no one-to-one correlation. You cannot map it that way. So I think he wants us to break our head, understand what's going on here. That's why he wantedly does it this way. Always go from the huge concept and then break it down into smaller, into smaller, into smaller.
Okay.
Yeah,
Each time he reads it, it drives me crazy.
When I tried to go through this, I just put in a bunch of console.log stuff so I could understand what each one of these functions were doing. Just like in this text cell prototype.draw, I would just put in like console log line, just to see what it is. And I went through that same, I didn't leave them all in there at the same time because it gets really confusing, but I would just go through one function at a time so I could see visually what it was returning.
Right. It's just going to be a character, right?
For that one, yeah. Yeah, for line is just a string of text. But some of the others, it would be an object, or an array or an array of arrays. And that helped me get a better grip on it of what each what the role of each function was.
Cool. Yeah, I did that myself. I didn't do it on this one. I guess I didn't really understand what was even happening with this one, but in previous chapters, definitely is going through and commenting. A quick tip on that is if you are going to go through commenting, copy everything before you close the sandbox, because it will reset your stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You know what would be good is like a glossary, maybe of for this one of like what's a block, what's a cell, what's a line, what's a row, because it's hard to keep it all in your head, because well, just like what's the difference between a line and a row? I mean, it kind of sounds the same, but they're different concepts in that program.
Yeah, I guess that's another thing about reading someone else's code is you wouldn't necessarily use the same words that they're using.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back and try to answer all those. This is good. I mean, I think Partha explained it beautifully.
Yeah, very well done.
Yeah, let's just keep pushing on.
Yeah.
Code uses helper function called repeat. Yeah, I think we just went through that. Let's try everything we've written so far by building up a 5x5 checkerboard. So.
Didn't we already do that, like, in chapter 2?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, with way less code.
Yeah. So we're calling, it's kind of cool, so we're using this constructor here, make a new text cell, since we've already defined what
Text
that
cell.
is. Yeah. And then, so if it's even, do the checkered, and if otherwise, do spaces. And then just push those rows.
Yeah, he's not just, yeah, he's using the row plus column combinations even, then put the hash plus leave as blank.
Wow. Code. And the new is so because it's taking a text.
If your line has more than one text, right? So go back
Right.
to the sample he had. So instead of two hash, right? Put a slash n in between. And then run this code. So one cell is 2 lines. So that's what he did. So the slash n to process it, he did that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when he draws the lines, that's when it will make more sense. So this is just one one step right now.
Yeah. I just wanted to see where the length, I guess.
So instead of double space,
Oh, it's because it's 5.
2 space in one place and 2 in one. So let's see how the column width is adjusted. So right now both has 2 characters, right? So make one of them bigger, and then all the columns should align automatically. So this is where the padding was working out. So
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Cool. Neat.
Oh, that's calculating the row height, I guess, yeah. Oh, so it definitely works.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're just saying, so each of our rows is going to be 5. It's going to have a length of 5.
yeah, he is building a 5x5 table.
Oh, okay. And then I guess, is this, what's doing the alternating?
Yeah, he's
He's checking modulo 2.
Yeah, modulo 2.
so he's doing okay row plus column.
Okay.
That is even. Then let's use hash. That is not even space. So I plus j.
Cool. It works. Since all cells have the same size, the table layout code doesn't really do anything interesting. Source data for the table of mountains that we were trying to build is available in the mountains variable in Sandbox and also downloadable from the website. We want to highlight the top row, which contains the column names, by underlining the cells with a series of dash characters. No problem. We simply write a cell type that handles underlining. Underline cell. So it looks just like text. Prototype min-width. .inner.min-width.
Min height is the difference. If you look at the text cell, we just take just the minimum height. But he's adding +1. The +1 is for the underline. the second line, he's adding one more line count to the height, so that one more line is for the underline, the next row.
Okay. Oh, they're dashes.
Dot concat. Yeah, that's.
So we got an inner. So whenever this new underline cell is made, it's going to have an inner. What is inner?
It's just the text.
Inner
So it'd be the row.
Text cell.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not text. It's a cell because
It's
he's calling min width and min height. So inner is a cell.
Mm-hmm. Right. And then gets a draw, of course, because we need to print it out. And that's height minus 1. Concat. Call repeat that to just whatever the width is. So the height minus 1, that just means we want it to be on the second line or the second row.
Yeah. Let's go to the text cell dot draw and see what is the height and width, how it is implemented text cell dot draw. So it takes the width and height, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's just okay. Yeah. As long as it's less than the height.
So it assumes we are going to have multiple lines, right? So it takes the first. When you put the /n, you will have row height 2, so it expects I need to draw 2 lines within it. But when we are doing the underline cell, there are no 2 lines of text. Though my height is 2, there are no 2 lines of text, just 1 line of text followed by an underscore. So first time he's calling with, just assume that I have only one. He's not saying only one row, right? So even in header you can have multiple lines. So skip the last line, assume everything else is my text, and then he's concatenating one more line for the underlying different text.
Cool. That is pretty sweet. Yeah, quite a bit simpler. Oh, an underlined cell contains another cell. It reports its minimum size as being the same as that of the inner cell by calling through the cell's min width and min height methods, but adds 1 to the height to account for the space taken up by the underline. Drawing such a cell is quite simple. We take the content of the inner cell and concatenate a single line full of dashes to it. Having an underlining mechanism, we can now write a function that builds up a grid of cells from our data set. Data. So we're going to do it from mountains. So the data table takes data. Keys data. Oh. So the first thing in data is going to be that outer array, and then we're just pulling out all the keys.
Mm-hmm.
Headers. Cell name. Oh, okay. So this is how we're drawing that first line. Is this actually drawing the first 2 rows?
Not first 2 rows.
Just
the first row. Yeah.
Now I get what the underline does. Okay. Okay.
So the underlined cell is a text cell, and the next line contains a underscore, That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, underlined cell is a cell, text cell plus bunch of lines.
So that's that inner.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's why we can call min width on the inner here, because it's just a text cell. Okay. And then this part, the rest of the table, we're just mapping over what is it? Oh, because okay.
Keys it, man.
Can we print the data? See what is in data?
Yeah, I think we can just. Well, that'll log, and then.
Where is the data table? Okay, that's the data table. It's an array of objects.
Right.
So from the first array, so when he does, the first time he does the 0, he's getting the objects in that, and then he's saying, okay, give me all the keys in that object, and then he uses that to draw the underlined cell.
Oh, right. Okay, so that's
Then from on,
those are the values.
Then he says, okay, loop through the array, which is the data.map.
Mm-hmm.
And then for each object, once you get the object, he's passing that as the row to the map function. And then it says keys.map. So keys is another array. So that will keys. Where is he getting the keys from?
It's earlier. It's the first thing he does in this sandbox. You scroll up some.
Yeah, so he stored the keys there. So keys.map, so for each key he loops through and get the value and pass that as the value to the text cell. So he builds the text cell. What a convoluted way to write the program.
Yeah.
Well, we're always taught to write it simple. So that somebody can maintain it. The more and more I dive into JavaScript, see, it's a language developed so that once you write it, nobody can understand.
It really is job security if you get into JavaScript.
Keys at map.
Even well-documented code can be really confusing.
Oh, okay. Okay. That was an interesting exercise. Makes sense now.
Yeah.
I don't know whether I will ever get to this level. This is the second time I'm going through this, and each time I look at it, it looks new to me.
Right. Well, I mean, this this is kind of crazy to me too. Our draw table mountains of draw table.
What mountain is? Mountain is nothing but JSON, right? Then he has to convert that into an array, then the data in the array into text cells, then the text cells are passed to the draw table to draw the cells.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I don't think so. Isn't JSON, the keys have to be strings?
Yeah, when he first brings this in, it's an array of objects, right? But they're not cells yet. He takes he takes that data from the table and then cranks through it and creates cell objects out of it.
Oh, yeah, and there's that string. Which is the same as... So could we just call it toString here?
Yeah. Remember, that's all string does anyway, is just call the toString method.
Yeah, same.
Well, at this point, I think you called string on the toString, so it converted to a string twice.
Oh, no.
Oh, my bad. I'm
Yeah,
I'm
I
on a
forgot
lag.
that first one.
I'm on like a 10-second lag over here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You're on satellite link, right?
Feels like it.
Stuff. And define. Oh, that doesn't get hoisted. Weird. So just to reiterate, I guess there's the keys.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get this. Headers.
Header takes it's a function and returns a function, right?
Yeah, it's doing that as an array. Interesting.
It becomes an array because in the function, in the text cell, we did the split by new line, right? So there are no new lines, but it's
that's right.
Gets into
And there's the text cells.
I think it's interesting that he didn't actually give us an example with a two-lined cell for one of the rows. I guess we could change it. No, because it takes in mountains. We have to change mountains.
Can we go back to the draw table? How the draw table works?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Blocks.
So when we call the draw table, what we are forwarding it as, what we are passing to this function is an array that contains the different cells, different types of cells. So draw table rows, the rows actually contains array of arrays, and the elements in those arrays are either underlined cell or underline text cell.
Right, or they're just text cell.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, we call the data table.
No, the data table actually converts the mountain contains just array of objects. The data table converts them into text cells or underlined array of text cells or underlined cells. Then that is passed to draw table. Then the draw table goes through each cell and call their draw method to draw themselves.
Kind of is upside down.
The draw table is not drawing anything. It's actually going through each and every cell and then say draw yourself.
Right. Excellent. Which is this?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we can talk about getters and setters if we want to. Yeah, the only thing we didn't talk about was object.keys.
We kind of did.
Gets the keys. Yeah.
Man, yeah, I think we should go ahead and finish the chapter, but that was definitely an intensive exercise.
Yeah, that was.
I'm just figuring out what he's trying to do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At least it just takes more time than reading. It takes like practice.
Yeah. See that it's kind of returning constructors.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
Well, it's returning instances of constructors, so it's returning objects.
They are objects.
Yeah. Instances of constructors. Right.
Which is something we never say in any other object-oriented languages. We always say that's the problem with JavaScript. They don't have classes. They have constructors unassumed to be classes. So we have objects which are instances of constructors. The constructors are different types of functions that gets called when you're trying to create an object of a class in any other language.
Right.
Thank God.
The same but different.
Yeah.
There's some kind of cool concepts with getters and setters. I've seen where there's actually this. I mean, just to pull our heads out of that a little bit, there's this library that uses getters and setters to build like reactive templates. It's called View because you can actually get a getter and a setter to rerun whenever a value changes. So there's this cool library. It's called View, and it actually it's kind of what it does internally. Like this is a to-do example, and this is just running. Actually, check this out. Very, very minimal code. Let me see. Yeah, did you see? So this is all the code for this. It's uses an observable, jQuery, and then this View library. And these are these View elements. So it's got like if statements for stuff like that. I mean, all this is doing is looking for whenever you type something in, it's going to rerun and debounces, so you're not constantly sending requests to this Wikipedia endpoint, which is promise. Then it maps over the results, and that's it. And then it just makes these new elements, and I mean, this is the implementation of this observable library. But I mean, 60 lines. It's really not that much. Check out what it's able to do. This is kind of cool. All right, view action. It's actually, it'll update.
Pretty cool.
Every
Yeah, that's nice.
Every half second. It's totally reactive, very kind of designer centric. Really neat framework. And it runs totally in the browser. And really kind of intuitive data stuff. I haven't gotten a chance to really build anything with it yet, but in the future, hopefully sometime this year, I wanna use it.
Put the links for that in the chat, so we'll have it, or in the on the meetup site.
Yeah, and it's just from one guy. His name's Evan Yu, and they're about to land Vue 2.0, and it's got like JSX syntax, like the same as React. Really cool. Nice API. Nice way of doing reactivity in the browser, which can be very, very
tedious.
Complicated. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was my one divergence. Look at these getters and setters, and so that library uses getters and setters that basically watch for when something changes. When specifying an interface, it is possible to include properties that are not methods. We could have defined min-height and min-width to simply hold numbers, but that would have required us to compute them in the constructor, which adds code there that isn't strictly relevant to constructing the object. It would cause problems if, for example, the inner cell of an underlined cell was changed, at which point the size of the underlined cell should also change. This has led some people to adopt the principle of never including non-method properties in interfaces. Rather than directly access a simple value property, they'd use getSomething and setSomething methods to read and write the property. This approach has the downside that you'll end up writing and reading a lot of additional methods. So that's kind of a self-chosen thing.
Yeah.
That's a matter of taste, I guess, if you want to do it that way. But I definitely see that a lot. Or handle something, handle change. Fortunately, JavaScript provides a technique that gets us the best of both worlds. What? We can specify properties that, from the outside, look like normal properties, but secretly have methods associated with them. So they're properties with methods.
The property method properties.
Yeah. So we're using a comma here. Get height, return this dot height. Set height, takes value. Console.log ignoring attempt to set height to value. Pile.height. So when we just call height, it does the get implicitly, and then when we set it, yeah, we get what we expect. That's cool. I don't think I've actually used that. It's really neat.
Absolutely.
An object oh, sorry.
But there's no way to keep someone from manipulating elements directly. I mean, if they know there's no way to hide it or protect it where no one could manipulate it directly.
Well, you mean this element.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Like you couldn't force people to only use the getter and setter. If they if they can see that element, they can. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So if everybody plays nice, it's good.
Yeah. So the way that I know objects have a freeze where it won't let you add anything. This variable. Yeah, really, you'd have to use
so if you freeze it, will your own setter still work?
Like if this was
Let's say you freeze. First let's say it has a setter that actually changes something, right? And if you freeze it, does that keep your setter function from working, from changing something?
That's a question, right?
Yeah. Is a question.
I'm not sure. I mean, you would think that it should, but
If it makes the object immutable, but
right.
does that apply to that is your setter function somehow exempt from that?
Yeah, and we're kind of asking. I mean, I think the intuition is this setter is internal, so it should have access, even if it's frozen. Or I would think once it's frozen, you would have to explicitly unfreeze and then make the change and then refreeze it. So I think that's how the object freeze.
Yeah.
I'm looking at here, really. Oh, it's in 5. I didn't know that. Makes O non-extensible. Prevent extensions. That's got to be a Safari specific thing. Don't allow new properties to an object. I don't know that that's in Firefox. I always go to MDN, but I mean Safari is perfectly valid.
MDN has for the setters it doesn't change any values if you try to set it, but it also doesn't throw any errors.
If it's frozen?
If you use if it's frozen, yeah, I'm not sure what static's about. My bad.
So if I try to set a new, well, it has no internal value. It's just.
Say you set. So in set height value, just put elements equals 0. Something like that. Or elements. I don't know. Yeah. So where it says console log, just put elements equals an empty array. That way, anytime we tried to call set height for any reason, it would just always just return an empty array. And then if you tried to run get height, it would give us
0.
Undefined 0. Yeah, there you go. So if we were to then freeze it, I guess I'll wait till I see what's happening. Cool, absolutely. But if we were to freeze this and then try to change the height, we wouldn't get an error or anything, but it wouldn't change the height. Or it wouldn't change that length at all.
Well, what if we made this just the same? Our it's that elements dot push.
What do you mean?
Push value.
Cool. Yeah, that works.
We got 1. And then if we console.log, and yeah, we get that 100. But yeah, I'm not sure. There's no way to do like private or something. To not let anybody mess with this. But you would have to use something like immutable. Yeah, and I think there's other ways to do this. But like immutable will actually give you new types of data structures that are immutable and persistent. List, stack, map, set, ordered set, record. So you can't even. Oh, okay, that's a map. I mean, array is a type of object, but I wonder if that would work.
Cool. Okay.
I don't expect this to work at all, but I just wonder what would happen if after I set here I try to freeze it. Oh, can't have property 1. Object is not extensible. Huh, it did. So if I freeze it before that, yep. So you can just freeze. You can freeze internal arrays. Did not know. And then I think what we would have to do, like here when we freeze it, and then try to set, we'll get an error, but then I think we can just call thaw maybe. Oh, there's also seal. Huh. Seal is an object, preventing new properties from being added to it and marking all existing properties as non-configurable. Values of present properties can still be changed as long as they are writable. So basically like a constant, like makes them all the internal stuff constants. Maybe.
So how do you unfreeze? Is there
I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, I don't either.
I guess I don't know. Unfreeze. There's no way to do this. Once an object has been frozen, there's no way to unfreeze it. Oh, yeah. I guess you could duplicate, but that's not the same. Well, I wonder if we did do that, if we did like, okay, so this will throw an error after we froze it, but if we if we create a new one, like, stack, and then stack dot height equals 200, and oh, it just throws an exception right there. So I can't even.
Nope.
Yeah, so it's when it's frozen. I guess you can't even create a new. You can't create a new object from it.
Interesting.
I'm not sure what freezing actually does internally. There's also kind of related to that in prototypes. With classes, there's this static operator that you can use. That it just takes a method, and whenever you extend a class, so you would say like new class extends old class, whatever static methods were on the first one won't get copied. In order to call a static method within another static method, the same class, you use this. But you can use them as long as you're inside that same class.
Absolutely. All right, guys. I actually have to head out right now, so it's been fun. I'll watch the end of this screencast.
Yeah, I probably need to head out pretty soon.
Oh, gracious.
Well, just about got to the end, though.
You're just almost there, right?
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, thanks, everybody, for your insights. I think I was all questions on this chapter, so it's been fun.
Oh, it's all good. Thanks for coming, Alexa.
All right, Alexa.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Good night.
Good night.
So let's see. What do we have left? Inheritance. Artex cell.
Oh yeah, this is who he does a right justified cell.
Oh yeah. It's creating.
Yeah. So yeah, and all he has to do is like override the draw function.
Right.
Yeah.
It just has a new draw.
Yeah.
Nice. That's very, very useful. So it's kind of like extends. Well, no, it's making a new one. Have you used it extends with objects?
No.
This is a nice way of doing it. I think it's actually in the language now. Okay. Yeah, it landed in ES6. Well, this is with classes. This is where you can say like square extends polygon. But then underscore, this is the first place I saw it. Oh, it's extend. So you would extend the destination is the new object, and then your sources. Which is, you know, whatever you want to add to it.
Oh,
so
okay.
This
Yeah,
could
it's
be like
kind of the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a different way of expressing it.
And now assign. Yeah, a little bit different in that the actual parent, I guess, is a unique object. I'm not sure what the. I mean, really, like prototype. Like this is a great example of this. Creating a new prototype and then just overriding.
Yep.
So we use structure light. What do we get to here? Now, if we slightly adjust the data table function to use our text cells for cells whose value is a number, we get the table we were aiming for. Beautifully aligned table. Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look up a little bit more about polymorphism, I think, for the next year.
Yeah, me too. I want to go back and look at it just in the general sense, away from forget about JavaScript. Just what do the concepts mean?
Yeah, exactly. Definitely comes up a lot in other languages.
Mm-hmm. Instance of, I'd forgotten about this part. Yeah. Oh yeah, okay. Useful to know whether an object was derived from a specific constructor.
Right. Is an instance of text because write text cell.prototype derives from text cell.prototype. So they have the same prototype. Mm-hmm. Operator can be applied to standard constructors like array. Almost every object is an instance of object. Cool. So, yeah, nice little summary. And then this was the only exercise I'd finished. The vector.
Yeah. Yeah, I did that one. Stretch cell I did.
I feel like I could probably do this now, but it would take me a while. Need to go back over. But the only trick to vector type, I did have to look up that formula for finding the length of a vector.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's like the Pythagorean theorem.
Yeah, the square root of x squared.
X squared plus y squared.
Yeah. Oh, plus that. It's actually wrong. Yeah. Yeah, this worked last time I checked. Oh, vector is not defined. Oh, yeah, I got it. So these are those. So vector is capitalized because it's a constructor. It's got these plus and minus methods. And then I used to. Was there a way that did you do this get property? Did you do it inside of the vector constructor?
No.
You did this. Did you do a define property like that?
No. Let me. I don't remember doing that. Let me get mine up. Well, yeah, I did for length.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did define property.
Okay.
I don't remember why. Was that in the hints? Yeah.
I think so.
I'm trying to remember why I wouldn't have thought to do that just on my own, so it had to come from somewhere. Must have been in the hints.
I think it was just should have properties the same name. Takes another vector as a parameter and returns a new vector that has the sum of the difference. Okay. Add a getter property. Oh, I think because I couldn't.
So because it's a getter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not just a function.
Yeah. So I couldn't do. Could you do get length here? I mean.
I don't know. I was wondering the same thing. If you could do away with the defined property and just have it get length and then the function.
I think when I was trying this before, I couldn't get it to work.
Oh, right. Okay. If you do the get and set things, it has to be. You have to use the object notation, right? Because they were like part of the object and separated by commas.
Right.
So that's probably why the defined property has to be there.
So because it's a function, because it's inside of a function.
Yeah.
Or because it's inside of a constructor. Well, same thing.
Well, yeah, it's because you're using a constructor. When he did his example of get and set, he just used bracket notation, right?
Right.
It was just inside of brackets, and then get function is so and so, comma, and then set function is so and so, comma.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. This is just a plain object.
Yeah.
Get expression. Oh, you can get an expression. Yeah, it's got to be an object property, though, it looks like. To a function that will be called when that property is looked up. Starting in ES6, you can use an expression for a computed property name to bind to the given function. It's pretty neat. Get expression. Okay. Ooh, memoize getters. The calculation of a property value is expensive, takes much RAM or CPU, spawns worker thread, retrieves remote file, etc. It's useful then. That's the lazy getter. Get notifier. Firefox, see XPCOM utils. Cool. I'll have to look at that more later. Yeah, so that was my vector thing. It worked.
Yeah, let's see. On those other ones, trying to scroll down here to the bottom of the chapter.
Stretch cell.
Let's see. And the other one was add another cell type.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can show that if you want to see it.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you sharing your screen?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. Oh, what is that? Oh, hide participants.
Yeah. Can you see it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, let's see. I put it at the bottom of draw table, I think. Yeah, here it is. Stretch cell. So there's the constructor for stretch cell.
Mm.
And and you pass it some inner would be like inner is
the text.
A text cell, yeah. And then width and height is the dimensions you want to stretch it to, right? So this inner is inner, so the text cell, this width equals width, this height equals height, and then you define stretch cell min width, and it returns the max of either the inner min width of the text cell or this width, and then min height is the max of either the height of the inner cell or the height for stretch cell, right?
Right.
And then draw just call text cell draw with W and H, which ends up being okay. Actually, you give that when you create the cell, you give it the width and height. That's where those come from.
Oh, okay. Nice. Can you run that in the sandbox?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Be cool to see.
Okay, it ought to run just like it is. Let me try that.
Oh, do you have all that data
yeah.
locally? Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. So see what I did. I called the stretch cell min width, right? And my text cell is 3 wide, right? And I called it with, I said, okay, I want a stretch cell with width 1 and height 2. So it's going to choose the height, the width of the text cell. So it's giving me 3.
Mm-hmm.
And for the width, for the height, I told it 2, and the height of the text cell is 1. So yeah, it gave me 2. And then I tell it draw, and it gives me a cell that's 3 wide and 2 high.
Nice. Cool. Okay.
Okay. So I made that work. I still I did this like a week ago and then put it aside. So I was struggling through that whole table exercise trying to remember how this crap works.
Yeah, that was brutal.
Yeah. And let's see, for that interface one, I had to try to remember what I did here, but I think the exercise asked for it's like kind of like making an iterator. Let me go back and look at what is it really asked to do. Design an interface that abstracts iteration over a collection of values. An object that provides this interface represents a sequence, and the interface must somehow make it possible for code to use such an object iterator over the sequence. So basically, it wants you to add like a next function.
Okay.
So let's see. Write a function log file that takes a sequence object and calls console log on its first 5 elements, or fewer if it has fewer than 5 elements. Then implement an object array sequence that wraps an array and allows iteration over the array using the interface you designed. Implement another object type range sequence that iterates over a range of integers. Did I do all three? Yeah. Taken from and to. I can't remember, did I do all three of those? Okay, so there's log 5.
Oh, you're actually just calling next right on it.
Yeah.
So you can only do that if it. Hang on. Next index. Let's see. Oh, I see. Okay. So you made it next. Done false.
Yeah, I can't. I'm trying to remember where I get that W argument from. What the hell am I passing?
True.
What the hell am I passing it?
Wrap. Oh, it looks like you did that thing.
Oh, okay. I'm using log 5, and then what I'm passing in is an array, right, with 3 elements, and I either want to iterate over that array, or if it's more than 5, then we would drop out of it, right? We're only gonna do the first 5 elements.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and I'm just calling next on the array.
Cool.
Well, actually, let's see. I define my next function up here with wrap r, right?
Right.
So it just, it just if you're not done with the array, you just call this next index plus plus, and then if you're done, you return null and you set done false if you're not done. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Done true, and that's I got that. I found some documentation on how to do these next functions, and that's the typical way is that you return an object, and the first element of the object is the value, and the second element is whether you're done or not. Because otherwise, how would you know? I mean, a value could be null, or it could be 0 or minus or whatever, and you still wouldn't know if that meant you were finished. So you have to have that second element to tell you whether you're done or not.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see for the range. And define a wrap range start and end, and then the next function just walks through it, does this, return this current plus plus, done equals false, or if you're at the end, you return value null and done equals true. And then you just I set up one log 5 wrap range 1 through 6, which ought to give me, it ought to print out 1 through 5, I think. Yeah, 1 through 5.
Awesome.
And see, and there's my little array. There's wrap array, log 5 of wrap array is ABC.
Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Cool, that's nice, Jake. Good work.
Yeah. Well, I'm struggling to try to remember, man. I just my short-term memory is gone. If I stay away from it more than a couple of days, I mean, just like wow, did I ever know this?
I'm starting to feel that too. And my long-term memory too.
Yeah.
Both memories. Yeah, I think definitely need to spend some more time, or I do, looking at iterators and generators. Yeah, because you can use.
Yeah, me too. I don't fully understand how that all works yet. So.
Yeah, and that's. Can you use the for in? I think that's what. I think for in will take one of the. Will take an iterator.
Yeah, it does, and exactly all those kind of functions like that, like for in. That's what they expect. That's how they do their work. You know, is that the object that you feed to them has got an iterator method.
Mm-hmm. And you can check that, like it won't let you run it unless it has the iterator.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
if it has a next.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, and if I understand correctly, you know, like even like a for in, it's expecting that same kind of return value, like a value and then a done, you know, to tell it true or false, whether, you know, are we at the end yet?
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Well, I'm about ready to call it, I think.
Yeah, me too. My brain is fried.
Yeah, it's good to cook it every once in a while, though.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, maybe it cooks out some of the toxins. Or, you know,
I think so.
Only leave the healthy JavaScript.
Just that focus, I think, just like going over the draw table and really kind of focusing on it and going over all the steps and having Partha explain it was really helpful.
Yeah.
But yeah, that kind of like sustained focus time, I think, is kind of how you work the programming muscle.
Yep.
I guess. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to drop off. And yeah, Partha, thanks again for that good explanation. That was a big help on the draw table exercise.
I should thank Sarah. We did this. This is my second time, as I said. So.
Thanks, Sarah. Yeah,
okay, guys. Good night.
Good night, Jay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks for coming. Cool. Bye.